Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever or wherever you are, my friends. My name's Alex, and today we're going to be doing the How to Make a Celeste Platformer Part 4. And in this series, or in today's efforts, I hope to add a little bit more art to the tile set and kind of show the behind the scenes of what goes into making this art, just for those that are interested in kind of developing something similar or seeing what my process looks like, as well as hopefully adding in the last few elements to really polish out this template. My hope is that by Friday we will have completely released the entirety of this project, for the community to digest and interact with. So I'll be pretty busy, and there may be some parts today where I don't really talk as much, or there might be some maybe on Friday if I don't finish, and I won't be live streaming until after I get all that done. So hey, what's going on, Riley? What's going on, Xtel? Let's switch over here to the game scene. You guys may notice we have a sweet little icon now in the bottom left corner of the stream, and I'll be adding a link. Maybe I'll do that now that we're talking about it, to the description of this video, and I've added in coffee or Ko-Fi. I think coffee, but added in some uh, financial support if those are for those of you that might be interested in doing that sort of thing. And then in the description of this video here in just a second, there will be a link to my Ko-Fi account. I'm going to be opening up a store page for commissions and other things like that. So if you guys are interested in maybe having a small commission done by me in tile set art or character development, there's going to be some options for that. And you can see all of that on the Ko-Fi page. So or coffee or whatever. So I just updated the stream's description. But if you guys are interested, you could buy a one-time coffee. Or there's a monthly subscription. There will be tiers, so I urge any of those who are watching that are interested, if the tier list isn't out and it's just a $3 monthly subscription, that will be changing probably later today when I add the rest of the art to my Ko-Fi account. I was working on that this morning. That's why the stream was a little late. So I would don't do those yet, because I will be integrating our Discord and those special roles and working towards finally doing that. Now, what my global plan here is with Ko-Fi is that if we can raise $100, I will release a free art asset pack on Itch. And for those of you that are monthly subscribers, or patrons, if you will, I'll be releasing special tiles that are not released in the free pack exclusively to our monthly supporter community. And you can get that through Discord or through the Ko-Fi download section, but it does require you to be a monthly subscriber. So maybe if we start, I'm going to start working on a art asset series for YouTube. We'll call it something clever, and we'll make it, stylized and specific, but that's the goal. So every $100, for now, we'll be working on an area and zone, and we'll pay it forward to everybody else who maybe can't afford those things, and it just gets our channel out a little bit farther. So if you're interested in supporting me in that way, I would really appreciate it. Much love, guys. So otherwise, let's dig into the first part of this Celeste series, in today's part 4. I went ahead and went through the art and extracted everything that was kind of over here, mostly, into a more digestible area over here. I want to add in a few more items just so that I have them. And in a way, we're kind of building our own reorganizing our tile set as we start getting into things like LDTK and importing our tile set or using them in a more extended format. We'll need this tile set like this. Normally we can export tiles in the same sort of way, but this really keeps us organized. And yeah, so we're just gonna kind of dive into that. Riley asks if I wouldn't mind looking at their grass. And Riley, I already looked at your grass, and I can tell you that there is something I would change. And I don't want to give you, I want to tell you the answer to how to solve this because I think that this is an art related challenge, and I would love to see you persevere and pursue getting better. The thing that's really difficult about pixel art, guys, and this is something that I really want to express here. And this goes for the Celeste and everybody else, and as we're talking about this. One of the very difficult things about pixel art, where it's different than other art mediums, is that pixel art, because of its size and the way that we go about working on these things, is really punishing when it comes to every pixel matters. And as you learn this concept, a single pixel in the wrong place can really throw off your image. And pixel art kind of makes you constantly edit and refine your work, wherein maybe in other drawing mediums, like paper art and things, it's a little bit more forgiving in line work and other things like that. You can kind of fudge certain things, blend in ways that you can't do in pixel art. So you don't really practice those in real time as much as you do in pixel art. And so it is a constant reiteration. Now, when we're making tile sets, right? When we make a tile set for a platformer game, we generally create a 9 or a 3x3 grid or 9 tile grid, and from that we develop the inside and the outside edges. Now, the same thing is actually true for top-down games as well, except for the way that we scale. And so to show you this, if I very quickly, come on, just kind of copy and paste this in here. So the first thing that we want to consider in a top-down game, rather than doing the edges kind of like this, it works pretty similarly, but you should think about it as a transition. So rather than our player being on the top, our player can be anywhere on this. And so if we go in here and sort of blend this inside, right, it creates a if done correctly. This is kind of choppy, but it creates a nice transition between these tiles, so that way we can have, and normally we would transition somewhere just here on the edge, and this gives us kind of a more transfer tile set, so we can go in, and have trails and things in our top-down format, kind of using this general idea. Now, there is a way to make tileable tile sets in top-down that works a little bit differently than in side-scroller format. So in a top-down, let's just start over here. We're gonna make this grass. So this tile is now grass, right? Now, if you want to make something tileable, there's a couple ways you can go about this. And one of the first techniques that I learned personally, a small tool tip for you to consider, less is more, right? So we don't want to like come in here and add a bunch of static, because it wouldn't really give us any definition to what we're trying to do. And with grass, generally, there isn't a whole lot of definition that we add in games, particularly in the smaller palette. We don't need to add, like in the smaller canvas size, we don't need to add so much to this. And so if we just had a good grass color, we could do things like adding, maybe adding some grass like this, right? We could do what some other games do and just kind of do this interesting little like grass texture every now and then. And in these tiles would have a variable amount of, so some of them might look like that. Other ones might have, I don't know, like a flower. So we can add a flower like this onto it and just darken the edges around the flower, letting us know that there is, some shadow or something going on that we can't see. Or, if you want to, there's a few different ways you can go about making those sort of things. Now, for simpler tile sets, that does make sense. But if you want to make something that is repeatable, This is the first technique that I learned how to do this, and it's pretty straightforward. So we're on a 16. Actually, we're in an 8x8 grid, but it still works the same. It just makes more sense on a bigger palette. On an 8x8 square, I don't know that I would add very much detail into what's going on. Even my dirt here has only got a few rocks. It's a little busy, but what ends up happening as we develop these tiles and as we put them together, if we're looking at a top-down perspective, we end up seeing a pattern, an edge right here, where it's clearly defined that there is this break in our tile set that looks like this. And if you can visually see that, it's not a seamless tile set. It may tile well, but it's not seamless. And to make something seamless, the technique that I'm talking about is what I'm going to show you here. Now, on a bigger, the concept is the same, but on a bigger canvas size of like 16 by 16, for example, if we were to, I'm going to draw this kind of like it was rock, just to introduce you to this concept. So if we started by putting a couple of rocks in our scene, and we copied and pasted this, it wouldn't really scale well because we have a line like this. Again, we can see that line. And Riley, what I noticed in yours is that you have a horizontal line that goes through all of your art. And one way that you can fix that, and it's a little bit of trial and error, but you can come up here, and if you are using, oh, we are in a 16 by 16 grid. Oh no, that's only because I stretched it. Okay, but if we were in 16 by 16 or 8 by 8 or whatever, let's say this is our entire tile set now, this makes more sense to do, to show it to you this way. Imagine that we cut that tile into 4 sections, right? So if this was 8 by 8, we would only be taking the top 4 and moving it, but we're just going to pretend like it's just like this. So we have a 16 by 16 tile, and this is our tile. And again, if I duplicate it, we can see the seam, and that's not good. So what we want to do is take the top corner and put it on the bottom, take the bottom corner and put it at the top, and do that for each side. And now, although we can still see this line, what we will notice is that it scales together a little bit more smoothly, generally, if the art is done well. But see, now this rock connects to this one rather than being a separate entity. And now if I take this off, we can, okay, well, we can still see that there's a grid here. How do we fix that? Well, now that we've inverted the tiles, right? Generally at this point, it's only one tile, like each one of these. And so let me pull this tile out. We're going to open a new canvas and make it 16 by 16. We're going to paste this in here. And we're going to expand the canvas. And we're going to go 3 by 3, right? So moving this to the middle, now that we have that scalable tile, we can do something, you know, like tile setting, using a tile setting, which means that if I change something here, it changes on all of them, right? And that's all we're really talking about doing. And so we can come in and blend those edges in a couple of spots, and suddenly, as we zoom out, we can now see, okay, well, we have one more line, maybe another one here, and if we do something there, maybe we'll take it away over here. We'll add something down here, and suddenly we start, you know, we're losing. There it is. Now, if I zoom out, you really can't see any one line that is cutting into our art. That goes all the way through. There's one right here that's pretty close to breaking that rule, and maybe your eyes might fixate on that, but if I zoom out just a smidge, and this is without adding any level of shading or anything, so if we wanted to, we could come in, and as we work, we just kind of go underneath, wherever there should be a sharp edge. We don't need to go all the way down like that. We just want to go right underneath everything that has at least a depth of 1, and just kind of very lightly color that in. And now as we zoom out, we were starting to lose, we're anti-aliasing those edges. You could, if you wanted to, go all the way around in like a top-down format, depending on how much you can see at the back, you know? But now we have a tileable tile set, and you can be flexible here. You can mix and match and add more depth, but the rule is generally no more than 3 colors, And if you're in a smaller tile set, if you're in a smaller size, use less. So if you're an 8, only use 2 colors. If you're in 16 up to 32, 3 colors. And beyond that, you might, unless the game is stylized in that way, you don't need to pursue this. So now if we wanted this texture to, let's say we made it more like mossy, that looks, I don't know what that is. That is not moss, but that is a terrifying, I misclicked what I was trying to do, but that's a terrifying palette. Looks caustic. Like you might melt if you touch it. Hey, what's going on with me? Oh, all right. Stretch. Let me stretch a second, get a drink of water, and we'll continue. Okay. So now, so if we run where I left off in the game too. So I've done a little bit. You guys might not have seen this. And I don't think I actually have showed you guys. So let's leave off to where I'm at on the game. So in this template, everything you see right now will be included in the free template. Everything you see right now will be included in the free template. I've decided to add even more to this tile set. So yeah, so if you guys like this, I'm glad. I've got a little bit of work to do. I'm going to have 2 different types of grass so we can kind of see that transition here where we have that vertical line. This is a stylistic choice. You've seen things like this in older older video games, particularly from like Sega and the Super Nintendo days, where we have this horizontal swirl line through dirt and things. And that was just a product of not having a whole lot of room to work with in these palettes and everything else. So keeping in that traditional sense, we have that style. And then we have the more stylized, textured rock and dirt. And I want to blend these 2 together and make them also separate palettes. And so those will be available in the more advanced set. Also, what I've done is I've added slopes to the game. And there's a little bit of choppiness in terms of the way that these currently work, but with a little bit of art adjustment, we'll get these to match up just right. But we can now go up and down without needing to jump. I fixed the player's jump height and speed. You're much slower than you used to be. But yeah, so we've got that. Again, you can see here where I'm working on implementing and fading over. So here we have that repeating tile style, and then we have the more rocky texture, and we're going to blend all of these in and make them look superb. You're also going to get the bridge. And I'm working on making an animation for the bridge to break. So we have that. If I jump down here, we now can start utilizing our game. So I'm going to be working on a backdrop for this level. Some sort of dark brown with a little bit of dirt and things in the background. And then now we have our basic tile set. If I fall on these, it'll respawn us at the nearest checkpoint. There are 2 hidden secrets in this level. And they are so incredibly difficult to find that I'm off stream before I upload this for everybody to play later. I'll be including a hidden text, and if you find the secret room, the text will appear, and it will tell you to take a screenshot and at me on either social media or email me, whatever. And if you find it, I'll add you to the credits of this project. As the very first person to find this location. And it is incredibly difficult to find. I've disguised it, I feel, fairly well. And I look forward to you guys trying to find where it is and how to access it. So one of them, I'll let you know, one of the 2 secrets, one of them is a demonstration. It doesn't show you at all, but if you can make it to that area, there's a visual cue on the map that's if you're paying attention, you'll notice that there are no other tiles like it on the map. And if you find that location and you figure out how to do and get into that little secret area, it is the same method to get into the second area, and that's where the hidden is. So if you guys are interested in trying the challenge and trying out the game and the mechanics and providing me some feedback on that, this will be available later today on GD Games. So on Gdevelop's game area. There will also be a link after this video is released where I upload it and put it in the comment section. So I'll pin it as a comment in YouTube, but also add it to the description if you're watching this later. And it won't be available until after the stream. But if you find it, if you find this special room, I'll add you to the credits of the game. And give you a special shout out. So everyone who plays this will get to see that you were the first person to find this incredibly difficult area. And I'll let you know that those who are accustomed to the retro style of hidden rooms, I think that you'll really appreciate. And once it's found, I'll show everyone where it is and how to access it and why I designed it the way I did. And I think that those who have played classic games from the 90s, the 80s and 90s will really appreciate the inclusion for that style of hidden room. So there is no visual cue on the screen in any location to tell you where that secret room is. It's really going to be, you're going to have to jump and check and explore the map thoroughly. And I'll be adding, but I'll be finishing the rest of this, the room development offline. But if you like to give this a shot and explore the various platforms that I have going on, I think that this is excellent. So we're going to close this out. And we're really going to stick to today using just code stuff. So we're not going to be doing much in the name of development in terms of the map. You can reference my LDTK tutorial on YouTube if you are interested in learning how to do tile sets on Gdevelop and how to import them into your game and use those. And I highly recommend that you don't do it the way I'm doing it. But all the same, you can either follow along or because I use an art program to extract my PNGs and such. But if you are interested in doing it a different way, I recommend using LDTK. It's a little bit faster, but it's non-traditional to just using just a Gdevelop. So if you only have Gdevelop, you can follow along using that LDTK. So, all right. That being said, we have a few tiles that I want to work on. We have the slope tiles, which need to be raised by 1, we found out, right? So that way we can get those edges to be lined up just right. I choked on air. Oh, 1 second. I just heard the mailman. My hearing aid just arrived. 1 second. All right, I am back. Some of you may not know, but I am deaf as a post. The reason why I don't sound deaf is because later in my life, I took an injury to my ear. And because I'm dumb. I had done something really incredibly stupid as a teenager, and now in my older age, my daughter calls it grandpa ears, if that is any indication of how deaf I am. I'm pretty sure my grandfather could hear at the age of 80 could hear better than I can now at the right age of 30. But this is an incredibly big deal for me, so I'm sorry for pausing the stream to do this, but this is a real human moment. Um, and I don't mind sharing the experience with you. I hope you don't mind. Um, I have another pair of hearing aids that I bought that didn't work. Why this is such a big deal is, for those that don't know, in the United States, back when my ear was injured, um, there was, up until a couple years ago, there was a federal law that required all people who manufactured hearing aids that were released in the United States to own to be basically to be a privatized insurance or privatized medical. And so even with insurance, it costs somewhere between $25,000, like $8,000 to $25,000 for a single earbud, so that you could hear. And I just have never really been able to afford that or justify, like, how do you justify your own quality of life? Um, it is a lot, and it's really expensive. Oh my goodness. This thing is tiny. I've never seen a hearing aid so small in my life. What? This thing is smaller than a quarter. Um, well, I'm blown away. This thing is teeny tiny. So I had bought a hearing aid a while back because a couple years ago they released the United States government released the privatized requirement. So now anybody can make hearing aids. Anybody. And so there unfortunately are a bunch of really cheap hearing aids that got entered into the market at like the $50 range. But and that might work for some people, but I have tinnitus in my ears because of my injury. When I lost my hearing in my right ear, I lost hearing in both of my ears for like 3 weeks. I ruptured both of my eardrums and they exploded out of my head, basically. And so, like, I was bleeding and it was a very big deal. But I didn't seek medical attention right away because I was terrified that my mom was gonna find out that I was deaf, and I made myself deaf. And so I made it much worse on myself. I didn't go to the doctor like I should have. I did this kind of to myself. And over 3 weeks, eventually my hearing came back some way. So I'm about 80%, actually closer to 90% deaf. I think that the actual equivalent is like 86%. But I can't hear a lot of tones, and now I have deafening tinnitus in my right ear, so it sounds like a teapot that's always going, and that's kind of annoying. And so what I did pick up is a new earbud that has a modulation mode, which allows me to change the frequency of my earbud because I can't hear high pitched tones, and there's a lot of static that comes through in some of the things that I do. And I don't need to hear certain levels of audio because they're not an issue for me, but almost everyone um, sets it to like a certain decibel, and it's really staticky, the really cheap ones. Anyways, so I just got a brand new one and it's good quality, and I just put it in my head. Um, and it's not the issue with the cheap ones, because of that hiss or hum, it causes my ear to ring. And now that um I have this new one in the frequency changes, I it doesn't make my ear activate or sing or have tinnitus, which is amazing. So I just plugged it into my head, um and I can now hear my own voice in my right ear, which is weird. I'm not used to being able to do that unless I have my headphones on. But yeah, that's pretty big. This took a long time to get because it's custom made to my head. Uh, and it's the smallest earbud I've ever had. So that's really cool. Um, I'm excited to. I'm gonna take it out of my ear and let it charge all the way because that's the right thing to do when you get a new earbud set. But yeah, that's huge. Wow. All right. Very big. Yeah, I'm chuffed. I'm really pleased with the the quality of this guy. I was really worried because of the pictures. They had some measurements, but um, I don't speak metric. I'm an American. No, I uh, I do know how to translate most metrics. But that was a joke. That was a joke. Um, Taking the piss out of Americans. Um, Anyways, yeah. So thanks for sharing that moment with me. Wow. Very comfortable. I'm very excited to put that in my head. I like being able to hear, and it's really nice to be able to hear my daughter, so she doesn't have to yell in my face. The, the Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Recently, I'll share one more thing, and I'll get back to work here. Recently, I went into a grocery store, and I went to the deli section or the hot food area, and I was traveling, so I just wanted to get something quick on my way through. And the gentleman behind the counter said something to me, and I leaned forward because every time I talk to someone without my hearing aid in, and now it's just trained, I just always do this. I lift my chin away from them. Like if you're looking at me, I'll look at you with my eyes and I'll look at your mouth so I can read your mouth. But I always pick up my chin and tilt my head and point my bad ear at you, my right ear, so I can hear you. And when I asked him what, I leaned forward and I had my hearing aid in, but it wasn't turned up all the way. So I reached behind my head and turned up my hearing aid. And then he started shouting at me very loudly, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I better turn that down again." And he didn't say anything else. So I was like, that was a strange interaction. He must have noticed that I had a hearing aid in, and that's why he raised his voice. So while I was checking out my food, and I was like, I was like, how are you? We did the usual customary, how are you? Oh, thanks. Did you find everything? Yeah. Okay. And then I was sitting there while he was ringing things up, and I was like, uh, out of curiosity, did you notice my hearing aid? Because I wear a beanie like all the time, a hat of some sort, but usually a beanie. I have like a dozen of these things. I wear them all the time. And it usually covers my ears, so I was really surprised that he would have seen it. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Oh, I have a hearing aid in. I thought you saw it, and that's why you raised your voice." And he's like, "Oh no, I just do that because people can't hear me sometimes, and I figured I might as well just speak loudly so that you can hear me." I was like, "Oh, okay. I thought you were raising your voice because I have an earbud in, and just so you know, you don't need to do that if that is the case." And he's like, "Well, I didn't, but why is that? Why wouldn't I raise my voice? You have a hearing problem." And I leaned in across the counter. I was like, "Let me tell you a secret." And he's like, "Okay." They work. And that's all I said. And his teammate behind him fell literally on the ground and was laughing super hard because of my delivery. But yeah, I just leaned over to him and I was like, "It's because they work." And I just walked away and went to go leave. And he started laughing too. He's like, "I never thought about that. I'm super sorry. I won't yell at deaf people anymore." I was like, if they have a hearing aid in, you don't need to yell at them generally because they do work. That's the whole intention of a hearing aid. It's like somebody having a microphone in their hand, but then they're still yelling at an audience. It makes no sense. You don't need to yell at someone. The microphone is in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So, here's the deal, man. If you see someone with a hearing aid in, unless they say, "I'm sorry, I still can't hear you," don't yell at them. Because that microphone is super loud. And unless that you have it on like the right setting, it is deafening. There's been times where like I've been standing next to my wife and she'll shout something at someone else, like just to talk to them, or they're across an aisle or whatever, and she's like raises her voice. But if I'm standing right next to her, it's like someone puts a megaphone under my head and then holds the trigger down while she just shouts into it. And it's just like it rings my head and discombobulates me, and I'm just like, holy crap. And I'll rip out my earbud and I'm like, nope, 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 can't do it. um and so integrating after living over half of my life without my right ear functioning very well, and now suddenly being able to hear, it's bizarre at how loud the world is. I didn't realize how loud the world is. It's noisy, and I don't like it. I'm an introvert already, I don't like noise to begin with. And now this is worse. But it is nice to actually be able to hear people's voices. So with this hertz change, I can actually tune it so I can hear specific people, like I need to. And because I don't need general amplification, I just need certain tones to be raised, you know. So, anyways, and also maybe at times if you hear me speak loudly, it's because I can't hear myself, not very well. My left ear does work fairly well, but I'm still over a quarter deaf in my right ear. So between the two, it is what it is. All right, let's move forward here though. Super appreciate all of the humoring my um my discoveries and my random conversations. Um, I do appreciate the support, guys. I do. Okay. So let's dive into this. So one of the things that you don't see in this current tile set is tiles that won't be available, I don't believe, in the general template. And so I really want to work on just polishing up the grass and rock tiles at this time. So this here won't make it in, and neither will these here either. But I'm gonna make sure you guys have at least 2 tile sets and enough images to build a dirt cavern. There, I told you, building a dirt cavern. All right. So real quick, to add that element to the game that brings uh, the final polish to what we're trying to do here is, of course, matching the edges to our slopes. We want to make sure that that is nicely done. We can just paste this and flip it. Do the same thing here. And actually, I'm going to take this rock and make sure that we place it in both of these. So we're just going to make sure that this edge is good to go. Now, we can see already that this edge will not line up properly without us adding that corner. So we might want to be a little bit more deliberate on how we shade this, just to make sure that it translates well. And even here we can die this down and just add that small corner in. And it'll make it a bit more rounded in terms of making sure that when these 2 tiles line up, they smoothly transition. And we could add, you know, a little, making sure that, because there won't be, this is a corner piece, right, in our game, there won't be another tile beside it at pretty much at any point in time, except for edges like this. So we can just kind of come in here and darken up areas that don't really have rock, and then re-emphasize some of the areas that do. And again, just to make that transition a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier. And I think that I like this bottom so much that we're going to delete this one, paste it, flip it, move it over here. And we're going to do the same thing on this corner. Just make sure that we have enough going on to emphasize this rock, and make sure that it flows well. And so we can put it here next to this middle piece, but that piece doesn't really sit well with the rest of our tile set as it currently is. So we're going to pull this out, and we're going to import this one from the middle of the dirt to start blending this area in. And another thing that we can do is we can paste this over the top, actually, and come back in and retune up the top corner piece. And that way we can add in those rock elements that we want in our tile. And this will just kind of make it a bit more seamless. So we can copy this, paste it, flip it, and put it back in that corner as well. And then we only need to do that one more time to some degree up here. And so we're just going to do this custom. This tile will have its own special look. So rather than being a duplicate of any other thing, the corners or the edges, we can just add our own feel. And I like this. I think that that's a good transition. Maybe we'll add one bit of dirt randomly just to kind of... There we go. So now we have a nice blend. Maybe we can add something over here. I don't want to go too much into over blending between the two, because then they'll only be able to fit with each other, and we want to make sure that we have a bit more flexibility in where we place things and how, you know, all that good jazz. I'm gonna move this up, add another couple of random rocks just to busy it up just a smidge. We'll do that over here as well. I don't like those dots, but I think that's good enough. We won't really be able to see much in here, so we just want to make sure that we just give that rock maybe a nice little highlight. Yeah, so it's just kind of a little bit of polish and go as we move around and all of that. All right. I think that is good enough for now. I don't want to go too far into that clutter. We are working on such a small palette that every pixel does really matter, and very quickly we can go from having just enough to too much. And so I'm just going to kind of cut some of this out, and we'll call it even. There we are. So now our dirt is much more refined in terms of the overall look and aesthetic of it. We don't need to do anything like we do with the grass and have like an overhang of dirt, or do anything where we have like missing pixels. That's generally reserved for things that have some dimension. It's okay to do that on the bottom of some objects, but you do want to be spare in the way that you do this. We don't want to overdo this. It's really easy to overdo. So just a couple of them, generally like the bottom tiles or the side tiles are enough. Don't go beyond that. It's too much. All right. The next thing I want to do is, let's add this back. The grass edges, we can add grass to the top here, and maybe another one down here, just to kind of help blend those slopes. We can remove this. I want to say that this now lines up perfectly. It does. We're going to remove that tile completely, or by moving it down here for now. This is just an alternate middle if we want to go with that more retro style in our game. I'm going to implement this, I think, today before I log out, so we'll be able to dodge flying arrows. I want to do physics somehow on the bridge, like this particular section of the bridge. So I'm going to work on figuring out that maybe on stream today. I've never done it, so it could be a waste of time, or maybe we'll figure it out pretty quickly. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. So we'll just take it step by step as we work on that. And if there's anything in particular you guys would like to see, let me know. Also, Riley, I appreciate that you enjoy my sense of humor. I'm glad that I bring you joy. That's what it's all about for me. So, that and educating. Let's see here. Let's launch our game again and take another look at what some of those changes that we want to see. So we fixed the middle. That isn't a problem anymore. We fixed these edges. That isn't a problem anymore. And we did it for the dirt too. So the dirt we'll be able to blend to this rock texture without a problem. And these will now be highlighted and lined up. The only problem that we have is with this corner piece we're not going to be able to use the corner piece as we originally anticipated for edges like this. And I shouldn't be using that corner piece anyways. We should be using this right here, which is the transition into dirt, right? So while we're doing tile sets and all of that, we have these transitional tiles between the tiles that we are working with and the tiles that we want to be working with, and you do the same thing on that top-down format as we talked about before, where we kind of blur the edges like this. Well, you end up doing the same thing with the other element, the other grass. You do it in reverse, and that's how you get transitions between the two tile sets. So I think the next thing to do is a backdrop. So in backdrops, it's really important that while we're developing our game, right, we want to lower the saturation of anything in the background, not just saturation, but its brightness as well. So we want to keep going towards the dark colors here, and we want to find a nice balance that'll contrast really well with these guys and not have a lapping overlay. So that's one of them that we're gonna do, and we want to add maybe some small rock elements. So we're gonna take a slightly lighter color on some of these extra tiles, and we're gonna make them tileable. But these ones are unique to the aspect that they are by themselves. These are standalone. We don't need to make them tileable in any capacity. And honestly, we probably want to stick between just two colors because of how small our tiles are. Over here, I can show you that we have some like brick. Originally, I drew some sort of like brick structure with a waterfall, and that was kind of leaning towards a different style. But I think we could easily come in here and clean up some of these edges, adding in those darker elements. And just by having a brown background, then adding things like this, it gives us various tile changes and textures that we could put on the background. And so I think maybe we will make running water to add that to the water area in our map later on. Well, for now, stick with me here as we export these two, and I show you how to use them. I think another one that I do want to do, actually, before we leave this area, is add a tile with a hole in it, and maybe we'll use something dark, but not necessarily black. Maybe a gray or something in this department. And then what we can do is even add, like, let's say eyes. And we can do this as an animation. So we don't have eyes, and then we do have eyes. So we can do it kind of like, so these are normal tiles, and these are tile animations. So we'll make a sprite in Gdevelop, and we'll just animate like it's an idle. And so this will happen. So the eyes will appear, and then maybe they'll go full size because our eyes open from the tops, because the bottom of our lid doesn't really have a whole lot of like muscle. It just responds to, we don't close our eyes upwards, we close them downwards. So we open them in the reverse direction. So maybe we open the eyes, right? And from that tile, maybe it blinks after a second. So maybe we go here and then go to nothing, and then open back up our eyes. So that's the loop, right? So now we can see that we have a small loop. And I think when we close our eyes, we're going to go really quickly from nothing back to full. So it should just be an easy transition. We can look at that animation by rotating to it. On my application here, I went too far, way too far. There we go. And we can extend that animation and take a look at it. So we end up just kind of with this blinking thing. And so we can set a timer. Maybe it only blinks every so often. But that's maybe how you might do a background tile where there's an eye or, you know, maybe some monsters of something. But we don't have monsters in our game. I just want to emphasize some creepy factor. just to make people go, what was that? You know? So what we could do is just kill that completely and just do stills. And now it'll open its eyes on occasion. And maybe we do a, as you get close, the eyes open, and as you leave, the eyes close. And that would just kind of give you like a sense of it's paying attention to you, and it's a misdirection. Maybe this thing doesn't actually hurt you at all. But there's those. And the other thing I wanted to make is very specific to one of the other things I'm working on for this art pack. I think something like this will do. You're just gonna have to stick with me here and find out what I'm making, because I don't want to tell you quite yet. We're gonna thicken that up just a smidge, and reuse the colors that we know work for wood. Something like this. We can even add a small bit of maybe grass to this element. We can convey grass in numerous ways, but I think that this is fine. And maybe we'll even add a small bit of grass on the edge. That doesn't quite look right. Small details, they matter when you're working in such a medium. Sometimes I like to do like the blade style, but I'm not really sure on this scale if that's going to work for us. You know, we've got other grasses that we can add later, and maybe something just kind of brighter might do the trick. But we are in the dungeon, so I don't want to make this too bright. But now that we have that, I want to go with a little bit more of a yellow, more of a cautionary a thing. And maybe we're gonna up this just a smidge, and maybe we'll address the post issue, because our post, I kind of want it to look like it's like it really is leaning, but I feel like flags and things that are done this way kind of appear choppy. Let's see what we can do here. I gotta move all this over one. There we are. And let's trim the bottom a little bit here. Hello. There we are. Maybe not. Maybe we need to actually go like this. And then I'll just add some darkening elements. Those sweet shadows that we are fond of. Maybe I'm not quite happy with that, what's going on here. Oh, this almost conveys what I want. One of the things that, like, you have to decide for yourself as an artist, what is enough, right? And I want to encourage people that, especially if you're learning pixel art or have been doing it for a while, something to consider, guys, is that what quantifies good art? And in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion though, I personally believe that if your art can convey the message or if you understand what the object is, then you've succeeded. You don't. It doesn't have to be perfect, but does it convey the message? And I think that this does, at least in the idea that um, this may be some sort of warning. And I think that the best thing that we could do maybe here is add a beautiful little red, and adjust this so that it's not even. Even numbers don't translate well into, you can't draw in the middle of a pixel, so we don't want to do like an exclamation point like this. It's chunky, it's far too big, unless that's the style of the game that we're developing, that we have a reason to create something like that that's that chunky. So what we want to do is just reduce one of the sides so we can get a center of this art. It's better if it's odd in that way. So now we can add in the exclamation element. And that still doesn't quite sit right with me. I think that maybe we can do a little bit better. Maybe there's some more flag or... Because we're working in such a small tile set, I don't have the choice but to design something that's small. But I think that might just do it. What do you guys think? Should we add maybe like a white outline to this? No, white doesn't work. I really want to emphasize the exclamation point without overdoing it. And right now I feel like I'm overdoing it. I don't know if it should be red or not. I keep having this. Maybe if we then move this out one and bring back that higher color. Shoot, there we go. Maybe this can be red. I don't know. I feel like the dark does a good job. I think that's good enough. I think this is a warning. And if you disregard this warning, that's on you. You know? I don't like that it's so big, but I might need to make it tall just to make sure that players actually see this thing. Yo, what's up, Retro Spark? How you doing? Maybe something like this, a little bit shorter. Yeah, I think that splitting this up between a couple different tiles is a good idea. But I think that this is solid. So now we have a background and the warning. I'm doing really good. Thank you. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out. Yeah, okay. So let's I'm gonna grab this item and we're gonna export it as a selected item. And then we're going to go to our tile set and we're going to add the wooden warning. I'm gonna save that. And in our game, I'm gonna come down here and add that object. So now I've also organized a little bit for those that are maybe seeing this for the first time. This is how it'll look when you get it in the template. So you'll have all of these objects broken down. These will be refined a little bit more, but it'll be something similar to this, and you'll be able to see how I do all my triggers and the other objects, and it'll be nice and organized for you. Let's see here. I want to increase these in size just a smidge. And that should be good. Let's see. Oh, that's why. We need this down here. And We're going to move the player and increase the player's checkpoint size over here. Okay, so that being said, we are going to then add in a new object. So we're going to go to Objects, Add. Oh, well, thanks for joining, man. Hopefully I won't bore you even further. And we're going to import that object that we just exported, the wooden warning sign, and we are going to add it right there. I think that that is a very good place to do it. We're going to put it at the layer of 11. And let's go check it out in game. All right. And there it is. I think that's great. This is a fair warning that if you come in here, you enter at your own risk. Okay? I warn you. Don't go that way. Maybe it has something to do with something else, but, you know, this just, you've been warned. You've been warned. And I'm feeling like, however, that edge isn't a very good place to put it visually. And so just to re-up the effort here, what I want to do is pull this out, pull this over, and I noticed that we have a bit of a gap down here. We're going to fix that real quick by grabbing our previous and just pulling it down like that. So there we are. Also, we don't need this texture anymore. That is redundant. Actually, we could add it right here. Get rid of that edge and bring this up. There we go. And then we can add this to this corner. I feel like that is a far better place to encourage you not to just go full throttle at your own speed there. I feel like this is a fair warning. There's a trigger right here. That's all you guys get to know. So if you're watching this tutorial before I release it, I may have given you some hints into what I was talking about before. There's some secrets in this map, and if you find them, I'll add you to the credits. Just gotta send a picture to me. Yeah, that's a much better place. Much better. All right. And then I put it at 11 so that way it even goes in front of the player. If this does not warn you, I don't know what will. This is very deliberate. Don't. Just don't. All right. Whoop. Let's see here. These are checkpoints, and the reason why they exist here is because the player is going to be falling, and if they fall too far to the angle, they might hit these or hit these on the way down. And to make sure that there's a good spawn point, what we did in the last session was make it so that way you have to touch the checkpoints. And so, yeah, be mindful of that. And that's why we edited this part. So other than adding some physics here, for the bridge to collapse when you touch it, we're kind of good on all of that. Let's add in our backdrop. So we still have the export selected. We're going to reopen, go to browse, and I'm going to end up reorganizing this entire folder because it's a mess. But in this folder, we're going to do backgrounds, BGs, and work off of this. So our first background warning is going. This is just going to be default, default BG, or dirt default BG, and we'll do dirt 2 BG, and then dirt whole BG. Now that we have those, we can go back into our game, and in the tile set, we are going to add a new object, and these need to be tiled sprites. And these are 8x8 sprites, and this is the default dirt, BG. Choose a file from your file location. Of course, we've done this a bunch of times. And now that we have it, we can stretch this background to wherever we need it. So we're going to start the background right under the bridge. And we're going to make sure that this is at the 0 position to make sure it's behind everything on this base layer. And we're just going to do a brief little visual dive into, that's as far as we need to go, into this project, just so we can see. I could really move my character to make this faster, but that's the background. Whoops. So it's in front of the player. That's not great. And also, I didn't add the right background. Alex, you didn't add the right background. You looked right at it, and you selected the wrong one. You dingus. All right, fix that. And then also, the base layer is actually behind the player, and I forgot about that. So what we need to do is create a new layer. And we're going to call this layer background, and it needs to be behind the player. So layer, player, this is BG. Oh, I do have a background layer. Well, hello. I came prepared. In the BG, we're just going to move this layer to background. And then for the sake of my own sanity, we're going to grab the player and move them just a smidge closer. Here we are. It didn't work. Where did I put it? Oh, is background hidden right now? Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Background. Background. Oh, the camera is colored. I forgot about that. Hold on. Camera. We are going to change the camera. Where are you? Camera. No, it's transparent. Hello? What? What layer are you on? Oh, whew. Excuse me. About sneezed my eyeballs out of my head. Woo! Eh? What? What is this? What is going on? What is this? Oh! I think I know. Actually, I think I added the... No, I have no idea. What? Hello? BG is not already taken. I will let you know, but that's fine. We're going to go to the background layer at layer 0. That means that there's something in front of our art that I'm not noticing. What? We're going to get rid of our God rays for a moment. Why, oh why, is the dirt not being drawn? This will help me understand. Quoi? Okay. I think Gdevelop is having a stroke. So we're going to save and restart our project. Close. And restart our Gdevelop. Oh, good. Nice, Gdevelop. Thank you for updating in the middle of me working. Let's see. Ooh, unlimited commercial use. They've deployed. Yeah, I see. I have an update. Interesting. I'll digest that later. And now we're going to replay this, and I think that will have resolved. What in the actual fuck? I am wholly confused. Okay, but what if I add this to the player, the dirt to the player layer? I don't know. I don't need to do that. I don't want to. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. But see, that's what I would have thought, but there's nothing. So zones, right? Let's lock our zones. There's nothing for me to click. There's nothing here. And everything's unlocked, right? Other than the zones. So zone is hidden. But it wouldn't matter. Reborn for the save. Reborn's actually 100% right because of the way I'm doing my camera. I totally forgot that I need to trigger the background. Thanks, Reborn. This dude's a G. Like every time is he. I don't know where you come from. You're just lurking in the background, and suddenly you're like, I know how to solve Alex's problem. I'll drop a one-liner and just fix the problem outright. At least I hope. Let's move back over to the. Yeah. That's exactly what was happening. It's fine. Whatever. You're a genius. Don't let it go to your head. It's fucking ridiculous. All right. All right. Now we can add in our lighting again and re-add in our God rays. Hello, God ray. We're just going to stretch that over the gameplay area for now. And that, of course, is not on the right layer. I just added some... Interesting. I didn't see that transition there. So we're going to fix that little edge transition. And then fix the art. So now we have at least a background for the cave delving shenanigans that we're going to be doing. And I'm not going to go any further in the level development because I don't want you to see the other halves of the level. There's an entire extra section that I don't want you to see. We're going to disable my collision layer. That way I can actually display what's on the screen. Now I can zoom out and show you guys this area. So we're just going to stretch the dirt all the way across everything that we're doing, and maybe we'll drop it down by one just to give it a little bit of extra breathing room. And then the other thing that I wanted to do is it's starting to get messy. It's hard to see kind of what's going on, so I'll start zooming in a little bit more. The other thing that I wanted to look at is also, I think the God rays look awful, but it's just something to fill in that space for now. Let's fix the tiles. Let's fix the tiles, and then we'll move on from there. So here I go again. I got to export all of the tiles and do... In the last video, when I was explaining how to use Gdevelop, I want to show you guys again a very important feature. But it comes after I export all of these. So we're going to go back to our tile set, grass, and this time we are going to remove I'm going to delete all of the things that are currently in here. And then we're going to restart because I want to separate the grass from the dirt. I don't know why originally I didn't do that. Asset packs lore. That's the original one. See, I can't even find my own shit. Alex, where did you put these? Level without. Oh, it wasn't asset packs. It wasn't lore. It wasn't tile set. I was in the right area. I just had a stroke. All right. So now we're just going to remove everything that's not grass for now. This so I don't have to rename everything. I did delete one, and that's fine. It was the middle, but I don't need it right now. But there we go. So now we're going to do the top left corner. We're going to replace it. Now we can do the top middle. And I'm just kind of looking at the pictures. I'm not really reading them. It's really important. Actually, I don't know that I did this with the last one. I scuffed this up yesterday. And so I'm going to make sure that I don't do that again. There we go. Browse top right. There it is. Yes, replace. Yes, save. And then we're just going to keep doing this. What do you mean you're out of the 16-bit mode, Riley? I'm not entirely sure that this one's going to be the middle. So we're just going to actually cancel and type middle. This is the one I deleted. Middle right, yes, save. Bottom left, save. Bottom middle, save. Bottom right, save. And now we're going to do the same thing for the dirt. And actually, we're going to add our new slopes before I forget. So in our grass, we're going to do grass left slope. And we'll do a right slope here. Welcome back, Riley. I had asked you a question, but you were not here. What do you mean that you are finally out of 16-bit? Oh, what happened to your knee? Sorry to hear that. And then here we can do our transitions as well. So we'll do the left transition, right transition, and that way we can just replace them all in one go. I'm going to do this the long way just to show you guys each step as I do it. So this is going to be the grass to dirt left, or right, and the left one here. Oh, I see. You know what's crazy? Actually, a few years ago, so I have a YouTuber friend, Capitan Xavier, or Captain Xavier, and if you know who he is a Nerf YouTuber. Good friend of mine. I've known him for half of my life. And we were doing a Nerf war. He modifies Nerf guns and does like a lot of family events and has a whole Nerf arena at his house because he's a YouTuber and lives kind of that whole life because he's like 160,000 subscribers, that sort of thing. And in that, we were doing some sort of footage event for Nerf, and I walked on my, like, I took one step after I put, we put all this work into our outfits and leading this whole event, and I took like one or two steps. I was going down a staircase, and I just stepped wrong, and I tore the ligaments out of my knee. It was awful. Like my knee just like I had to walk with a cane and a crutch for like 12 months. It was awful. And all I did was step funny. Blew my kneecap out. Very painful. Yeah, anyways. So let's get this dirt figured out, and then we're gonna go back and do this one. Or I said I was gonna do it later, but I really just the naming conventions and doing tile sets like this, um, and it's kind of exhausting. Gdevelop requires that we do exports in a very specific way if we want to add them to the global community market. It's kind of a bitch. Everything needs to have like it's the same naming conventions. They all have to be the right size. So all these sprites I have to break down into 8x8 squares, which is going to be traumatic, but it's okay. I'll figure it out. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make one sprite and make it multiple animations, and then you will just number them. I'll tell you how many animations are in it, and you'll just have to add each one in order. Uh, I think that's probably the best way for me to do it. I don't know. We'll figure that out. So we're gonna go to this area, and it's gonna be dirt, top, right. That's not right. That's left. Top left. Top left. Alex. Top middle. Top right. The dirt middle left. Middle. Middle. All right. And then the slopes are the last things that we want to export. So export selected. Let's see, dirt, slope, right, and dirt slope left. Okay, now we can replace all of the tiles. That was a little bit of effort, but that's okay. I'll only have to do this one time, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm just crying about having to do it. So, all right, so we go to the grass area, and now what we do is we first start with the corners, right? So what I've done is on each corner, they're one animation, and the reason why we're not using a tiled animation, I described and explained this in the last video, but just to reiterate, we're not doing tiled sprites because these don't tile. They're corner pieces. So they're individual pieces, but everything else that's a middle square is a tileable tile. So yeah, let's do this. So top left, we are going to delete everything. Oh, don't duplicate. And then because they're all named the same thing, that's probably true, Riley, for all of us. I live on my desk, so I get what you're saying. Anyway, so now we go into our resources, and this is where, if you're in the cloud version, you have to do this. So if you're not going to restart after removing things from your game or renaming them completely, you have to right-click in here, remove unused, and we can do audio, images, fonts, whatever, but we're just going to do all assets just to make sure. It's good to tidy up whenever you want to. So the grass corners no longer exist, as we can see here. So now all we got to do is go into here, go back into our grass area. Oh no. Wait, why did that happen? The dirt right got messed up. So we're going to fix that very quickly. We're going to go back into our tile set. I'm not sure how that happened exactly, but we're going to export the selected, browse, grass, dirt right. Oh, grass to dirt right. Well, for one, that's actually, I'm selecting the wrong one. It is actually this one. It looks very similar to the corner piece, so I just like automatically selected it. But we're gonna fix this. And going back to tile set, grass to dirt right, replace, save. There we go. And then here this was grass. This is the top right corner, top left corner. Okay, so going back into our tile set, grass, we're gonna look for corner or top for now, I guess. Top left. Add that bad boy in there. Top right, same thing. Top right. And then we're just going to add the bottom left, bottom right. So we just type bottom. And it is bottom left. And bottom right. And now all of our corner pieces have been replaced with the rock version, the updated rock texture. The middle piece, this is middle mud. And that's fine. We actually don't want that texture there. We want the grass to dirt texture. And then I'll replace all of those in a moment. So now that we got the corner pieces, we need to do the grass middle. And this is very much going to be the same issue as before, where if we add a texture here, watch what'll happen. It's going to upload the same as that was originally there. So what we can do, if you don't want to have to delete everything as you work, you can also edit with Pyxel, and it'll open up this overwrite or new, and you can do an overwrite, and then just click on the import, which is the folder, the local image, the third one down, and then you can select the one that you want it to be replaced with. So we're going to use top middle, and hit next, and we want to combine or replace the sprite. In this case, we're going to replace it, and that way it just, there you go. And now we can click save, and it'll update here with the new one, and then we can go back in and delete the old one if we wanted to. But we can do it this way if we want to save a little bit of time. And so we are just going to do that. I didn't mean to upload. We're going to edit. We're going to import images. There's a few, there's just a lot of different ways that you can go about this. Do whatever's comfortable for you. That's all I got to say about that. It's just time consuming. So if you can do it the right way the first time, do that. Don't be like me. See, my channel is all about teaching you guys to not be me. So that way you can do it better. What do I know? What do I know? I'm just an everyday, regular, normal guy. With goofy personality quirks. Anyways. Alright. So now we've added all of the appropriate dirt, or the grass. We do need to add our slope collisions. So what we can do here is the same thing that we just did, because I don't want to actually go through and edit everything manually, or like to delete and upload. So we're just going to go back to our slopes, and we are going to select our dirt slopes first. So images, can we not, please? Can you not be a dick? Tile asset, lore, tile set, dirt slope left, replace the image, yes, and save it. And then now we need to do the grass left. Not add the sprite, Alex, come on. Edit with Pyxel, import, next, replace, okay. I'm like talking to myself, making sure I don't do this the wrong way. And for the slopes, we also, just like the corner pieces, we use just one slope. And some of you may be wondering, Alex, how do I build a slope exactly using the engine? All you have to do, it's actually very easy. Innately, there is a collision box with your character, your player character that you set. And there's also a collision mask for what we're building. And so you can just do your collision mask, something like this. Just put it just a smidge behind Um, enjoy that, Riley. No, yeah, I appreciate you stopping in, bud. Enjoy your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I appreciate the time you spent here already, and you can always watch this later. So, enjoy that. Thanks for stopping in. Um, anyways, so that's yeah, you just make slopes for each of them, and that's all you got to do. Grass slope to the right. Let's just make sure that I replace all of them, and save that as well. Okay. Now we click apply, and we can see the upgraded tile set. And I think that here I want to uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Just add that grass tile to the top. I really like that transition, and I think that's pretty clean. The thing that I don't really like is the dirt top middles, which we are now moving into cleaning up our dirt. So the middles happen to be exactly the same on both the grass and the dirt, so there's no reason necessarily to remake them. At least I don't think I added in anything. Oh, there's a little bit of a difference, but honestly, between the two of them, they work. So I don't feel like we need to change anything. This is going to be fine for me. Maybe in the final release, I'll include those minor changes so you can decide which one you like better. But now we're going to go do our dirt corners and then go through and do everything that we had just done. We're going to start with the middle piece. And we're going to import the, instead of having the swiggly middle, we're going to upload, we're going to replace it with the grass version, even though it's dirt. It doesn't really matter. And now we can see, look at the difference on that. Like already, the transition between these edges are pretty profound. This one could have, these guys could have maybe a little bit more going on, but I think that it's kind of nice to see that there's like a dirt layer in between where the stones would be in this dirt. It's not poking through or anything. And then we just need to fix the tops and these transition pieces, and we'll have a more cohesive tile set as we're working. So I think that this is a kind of a mandatory step in what we're doing. Interesting little gap here. We might get stuck on this transition without an additional piece, which is originally why the slopes were just a little bit shorter, but it does cause some extra issue. So I might need to delete these top pieces, or just make sure that the slopes are set right. So let's actually go demo that. It doesn't look like we're going to get stuck at all, which is good, because the slope collision is as it should be. Cool. All right. Also today, I've heard numerous people give me some feedback on the development of the controls. There is far too much going on in the one-handed department. Let's see here. Sorry, I got a text message. You guys probably heard it. Oh, that's very nice. My wife was just making sure that I saw that my earbuds were, or my hearing aid was delivered. Appreciate the wife. Thank you. All right. I think I'm going to do a grass transition slope as well. So we're going to do a couple more slopes, I think, for the texture pack, just to really emphasize what we're trying to do here. Yeah, I think that once we fix the grass, we're going to... Oh, yeah, that too. I want to fix this. That transition piece right here is jarring. Jarring. We're just going to move this. Whoa, hello. We're just going to copy this out and shrink this guy and just fill in that gap a little bit. There we go. That way the transition is just a little bit easier on the eyes. There's not this big white space. And also, we're just going to change the background just a little bit so it's not so jarring to look at while we're doing our demos. Oh, okay, I died. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, all right. So let's finish up with the dirt now. So dirt corners. Here we go again. Import. Images. Now we can go to our dirt section and go with the, I'll just type top, and we'll go with the top left corner. Replace. We can see a big difference now in our rocks or in the dirt texture. It'll be interesting to see how that blends in. We're going to go to the other side, the right side, and import the top right. Replace. Okay. Thank you. And then we'll do the same with the bottoms. Ah, this. I don't want that piece black anymore. So we can fix that as well. Well, we have to do the import anyways, so I'm getting ahead of myself. I think I might have already fixed this. That's the bottom middle, Alex. That is bottom middle. That is not the image that you're trying to upload. Did I not do the left corner? Huh? Bottom, middle left, top middle, top right. I guess I didn't. Oh, that's weird. File, export. The dirt bottom right. This will be bottom left. Save that. And get back into our thing here. Refresh. Bottom left. We could replace that. Save. Now bottom right is the last one to do. And apply. All right. So the corners are done. Let's immediately jump over to the top middle. I think that's the most important one that we replace next. It's the most noticeable of all of them. So we're going to import. We're going to import from an image, and we're going to use the top middle. Make sure that we replace it. And now we should be a bit more consistent in the tops of our areas. Again, it feels like the slopes need just a little bit more work to blend in. Just a smidge, not too much more. I think just a little bit of clutter might do them good. And then, of course, these transitional pieces. But we're not done yet. We need to finish with the rest of our bottoms and edges. So edit with Pyxel. Import. I want to import from an image. This is the bottom middle. Replace that. And then the middle left, middle right. Middle left. And middle right. You could mirror the dirt left and right and make a script for that, but that is way too much work. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could, I guess. There we go, middle right. Didn't really change much, actually. I think the right and left are the only ones that really didn't change. And that's it for the dirt. So now we have a clean transition. Let's run our game without all of the static of the grids, right? So we can see here in our dirt, we don't quite meet up with the middle of our dirt. We have this weird vertical overhang, and it conflicts right here, the top dirt with the non-dirt middle. And so that was actually my fault because I chose the wrong middle here. I thought it wouldn't matter, but it did matter. So we're going to just import the dirt middle because that one is its own thing. So let's replace that and save. Again, we're still going to have a vertical thing, but we should see now some of those edges be blended a bit more. Yeah, there's far less jarring happening between these transitions. So that's good. And honestly, I think that if we move this grass ledge over and then change its animation, we might be able to... no, I don't like that. If anything, we could add a grass chunk right there. Even then, I'm not a fan of that. We're just going to go back to dirt. I should probably use the dirt top, however. So we can just kind of put that there. And then let's go edit these grass to dirt transitions. So we have a transitional tile that is right here. And we will edit the sprite and upload our new ones. So import. Wait, did I fix these? I thought I fixed them. Did I fix them? I did fix them. Okay. Couldn't remember. We're going to go back to our dirt. So that none of that is right. So go back to here. Alex. Asset packs, lore, tile set, grass, and it will be the grass to dirt left, grass to dirt right. So I am uploading the wrong one. We got to start with right. Grass to dirt. I did the same ones. So this one, I need this one. This is the right one. So file, export, selected. This will be the grass, dirt, right transition. Let's save that. And then go back into here and do it all over. So the right is the correct one. Now that we got that lined up right. And then the last one here is the left side. All right. Had I taken the time to make these tiles appropriately the first time, I wouldn't have had to do all this work. So that's how I feel about that. Don't be me. Again, don't be like me. All right. And now I feel a lot better about some of these things. I think that what I want to do is open up this ramp here. I could edit it in Pyxel and add like, I think what's happening is that because we're transitioning, this blob should be dark, and there should be like another stone here, or so this area right here should be dark, and then we can blend in either one or two stones, or do a blend between this middle and this top piece. That's a lot of polish, and I don't know that that's necessary. So the next thing I want to work on is environmental details. So we have some grass here, and I want to add a bit more variation. So we're going to start on that. We have some rocks that we haven't added yet. We have some grass. I'm going to take these grassies, grass. I think that is just the right word, grass. We're just going to add grass. And we'll do a couple of these. That's a little tall. Maybe we'll add just like one thing over here. That's a good one. We can flip this and maybe add one more over here. All right, cool. So we have some basic grass. And another thing that I'd like to do is based on these bottom squares, maybe do some sort of hanging vine. And so what we could do is we're going to make these, we were going to make one of them a single tile worth of like grass, moss kind of thing hanging from the ceiling. And so it'll look kind of like that. What we can do is add a few details where the highlights might be. And we want to play with that low saturation. We don't want to go too far and add too much to these because they are going to be a viewable at a distance. So we just want to make like a couple of these. Maybe we'll make this one even smaller and do something like this. And we can just kind of add inverse grass, if you will, right? So we're going to have a couple tiles where the only thing that we see, and actually I don't want that to be green. Anything that's like 2 tiles down, we could add highlight to, but nothing in the first layer. That will destroy the sense of transition, visual transition. And even then, I could go deeper in these, but want to keep them very low saturation, keep to the tile set here if we can. And if we really wanted to blend a little bit more, we could do grass more like this, but I do like the little bits of highlight. And these highlights technically, actually, now that I'm looking at them, should be further down. But it's fine. Okay, and now I want to do one that is much bigger. So we're going to swing this across, and to do that, I'm actually just going to use a circle to make this nice and even. So we're going to get rid of the jitters. We don't want any jagged, jittery lines, right? So like if we did something like in the laws of pixel art, if you will, there is a standard of moving at a scaling number of cubes. So like as we begin to move, we don't want to transition between 4 and 1 unless we continue that cycle, but we don't want to go like 4, 3, 1, you know, like that's a jagged looking. And if we want really smooth lines, we have to work in a scaling of even transitions, you know, or at least making sure that the transitions are the same number. And that'll help keep your art sort of centralized in that way. Anyways, so I'm going to add a few more details that it's like, you know, there's maybe hanging moss or grass inside of and around this thing. So maybe even adding another loop. It just adds more texture to what's going on. And maybe even something like this. Let's turn that down. It's a lot of repeat kind of happening here, so maybe we want to change a couple of things, make the vine a little bit bigger. So this is pretty interesting looking, I think. We can just kind of touch up on areas that we maybe want to highlight, just to add a little bit of color and depth to what we're doing. That's a really interesting piece, and I think it's going to add a lot to the game feel. And then we can also do another one that's like extended, right? We want to do like a piece of vine or grass root, whatever, coming out of the ground that is maybe we want to swing on vines in our game, or maybe we just want those like extra. If you're building like a crypt or something where chains and things make sense, this is a perfect time to implement your chain. So if you had chain loops like this, we would maybe do some of them with broken links. So you could end up building, just to show you, let's say that these are your rings and you're going into your second. So this is your repeating tile set, right? That doesn't quite look right. We would need to pull this up and pull this down, something like this. And so this tile set should potentially link in the right way once we get the scale right. So let me fix this. But anyways, you could do you could do stuff like this and break your links and make them smaller, of course, for your game. But this is kind of where people do that sort of stuff. And then I just want to kind of add a few details that just make it feel maybe a bit more organic. This thing would need a bit more oomph to hang off the ceiling like this without breaking. So maybe we can add another support, a couple support vines in the background. It looks kind of weak now, but I think that once we get it added and see it in the scene, it'll look a little bit better. But I'm still not digging that exactly. I think for now I might just keep with this simplified version of this concept. So what we want to do is, now this is one image, and then these are each one, but we're gonna add them all to their own tile in the same tile set. So this will be tile 1, this will be tile 2. This will be tile 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll do 4 and 5 as the last little accent to these roof tiles, and maybe we'll add another, or not roof, but ceiling. Ceiling is what I meant, not roof, but there we go. We'll add one more. I just like variation. Make it an even 6, anyways. Okay. File export selected. We're going to go to our tile set, into our grass, and we're going to add vines. I don't know what else to call it right now, so we'll do vine, grass, or grass vine, grass, vine 1. Grass vine 2. Grass vine 3. 4. 5. And 6. And now we can add those into our game. So we'll go into our transition, snow, grass. Maybe underneath grass we can do extras. Or in the tile set we could just do extras. So we'll do like that's not how you spell that. Extras. Add a sprite. These are vines. Import. And we're just going to add each one of these independently as their own tile. So 1 is 0 technically, right? And none of these are looping. We don't need to worry about that. There are 6 of them, so we can add all 6 real quick. Add sprite, and then just go through these one at a time. Oh, shoot. 1, 2. Add a sprite. 3. Add a sprite. It's hard to see them in this little dialogue, this tiny little box down here. 3. Go in here, add a sprite. 4. And wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Wait. Must be there. 4. Let's add this one. This one's 5. There we go. That's what happened. And then 6 is the last one. It's confusing because the animation is number 5, but it's technically sprite 6, and so on and so on. So now we can add our vines. We can go in here and say, okay, well, I think that vine works there, and we can add these 2. And let's change this to 5 and 6. Or, oops, this would be animation 4, and this would be animation 5 if we're going by numbers of the actual upload. So that looks okay. And I think that what we can do here to level this little design up is grab all of these elements and pull them down by 1. And the reason for that, I accidentally copied them rather than pulling them down, is that we're going to add grass to the other side, at least to where, oh my goodness. Can we? What is this? Background? Get out of here. I keep clicking you, and I don't want to click you. Come on. Select. There we go. There we are. Jeez. Then what we're going to do is go back to our dirt. Nope. Grass. Bottom. And we can kind of tinker with the way that we do this. The nice thing about Gdevelop is because we have slopes and other things, we could add slopes to these corners and we just rotate them. So if we wanted like a slope going this way, we could add it down here. We could duplicate that and switch the animation to be the right direction, and then suddenly we have these in the right direction. And I think to just add in that extra mossy feel, what I want to do is double up that, get rid of these corner pieces, and now suddenly we have a very this kind of looks a little awkward upside down, so maybe we should make versions of it that aren't as detailed and meant for the upside down, but we can do that temporarily for now. I like the way that that looks, and if I wanted to, we could just start copying this over, doing some animation changes, and filling our game with these extra little bits. And replication and you know, duplication of some of this stuff is totally fine. We're gonna open our background. Nope, get back here. Unlock our background, and then we're gonna pull it down a little bit, just so that way we don't see anything we're not supposed to. And we're gonna double up on these rocks just to make sure it's a nice clean thing. I don't think the player is gonna be able to see in that hole, but just in case, we'll make sure that we add some of that. And I think that we can bring this tile in and synchronize that edge. So now we're gonna go back and play our demo and jump in the hole. And now we can see some of our grass stuff. I think it probably looks better on actual grass, so maybe we should keep that aesthetic and remove these, and then instead do the hanging dirt and other things. Maybe an occasional... this obviously looks weird because it doesn't have the other piece, but yeah, I think that on dirt alone, it just doesn't quite work. We could tune it up to make that work, but I don't think that we need to. I think that instead we just need to go about modifying some of our other things that we're doing. So yeah, so we're going to pull these out, and we're going to duplicate the vines, and we're going to call these extras. Or inside of the extras, we're going to call this one, we'll say rocks, or no, cave, dirt clumps. I don't know, dirt bits. Dirty, dirt. This is gonna call dirt. I don't know what else to call it. We're gonna call it dirt. And then we're just gonna go through and add all of our dirt extras, and that is just kind of coming in here and doing exactly the same thing we just did for the vines, but instead for the dirt. So inside of the tile set, we're actually going to move those tiles out. The dirt went into dirt, didn't it? No. What did I name it? I didn't name it. I pulled vines out. Excuse me. Woo! Sometimes those come out of nowhere. We're going to make a new folder and call this extras. And now we're going to put our vines into the extras, our vignette into the extras, and then we're going to add dirt objects. And inside of the dirt objects, we'll start with dirt 1. Actually, to save my own sanity, we're going to do dirt 0, dirt 1, dirt 2, dirt 3, dirt 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So a total of 5 dirts. And then we will just go in here, add a sprite, go to our... I don't know why I have to do this every single time. It drives me nuts. Extras, dirt objects, 0. Now that it should just be there now. I shouldn't have to leave the area. So 1, 2, add another sprite. Add sprite number 3. And add sprite number 4. And then we can delete the extra one. And now we can just take that dirt and apply it to our roof in various positions. Maybe we can just change the animation on this one to something like that. And I like the extra details, so I want to duplicate some of this terrain and texture. So let's just kind of go about the map and add a few more of these around. I think that even one up here would be great. And you can even put them in front of and beside some of these spikes and things, if you wanted to. Maybe something like that. And I don't really feel like we need to do... All right. This one, I guess I could have just pulled down. I'm just trying to reduce the amount of textures and things that we're using. Sometimes I overextend them. But now by going over here, I think like instead of this middle piece, I do want something there, but I want the double transition. Not the slopes, but the transition tile. So dirt to grass. I should probably re-put back. Hold on. There it is. I was like, where did I need to know where it was so I can, and then what we'll do is we'll just switch this animation. And see, something like that makes a lot more sense visually. So we'll just move that down there. I don't really want to go too far in some of this dirt. I think it'd be fun to, maybe on this one, add the grass again, following this sort of thing. I need to grab that corner piece. Nope. I can't grab that corner piece. It's going to be... There it is. There it is. Got it. There we are. Just add a little bit of flair. You know? When you know, you know. And then I do think that I want to add dirt piece right there and make that extra slopey and hard to grab. I think that we can repeat some of these. I don't really want that. And then we can go through and now do grass in the same way, right? So now that we have the extras of dirt, vines, and all of that, we can now go about adding another extra and adding in the extra dirt, grasses, and things. So same scenario where we're going to export again, go into our extras, and do green grass. Okay, so we're going to go green grass 0. Remy, you have a good one. Thank you so much for joining us, and you have a good evening, sir. Enjoy your rest, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Keep up the good work on your game, man. It's coming together. I really like the recent changes that you all made. You pushed out the update yesterday, right? Last night. Your guys' auto post should have gone through. I didn't actually get a look at the update notes. And if we wanted to, we could add in these grass textures, and I think that even mixing and matching some of these on the grass would be okay, because grass does die as long as it's underneath, like you know, because it's like the lack of light. And so we could put these like more or less right underneath where we fall down from the bridge, but overall we wouldn't really use that on the green tile set, so we're going to save these mostly for this map set. Obviously we could see how those definitely go together. But yeah, so we haven't even got to the spikes or the bridges yet, but those are going to be in the extended template. We're going to be using spikes in general for those designs. And then I'm working on a wood. I don't have the background yet, but these will be planks of woods so we're going to have a castle tile set, a field tile set, the transition between stone and grass, and like this dried grass dirt look, a little bit of a brighter terrained area, a bit more vibrant. The stone monastery texture pack, and then some sort of internal wood library texture pack. But anyways, that's all theory, I guess, for now. So yeah, I mean, we have most of, with a couple more tile edits, I think that we'll be right on track to having a very clean tile set for the style of game that we're trying to build. I want to add some effects where the tree kind of maybe breezes a little bit and occasionally a leaf drops. Maybe it comes down and rests on the water or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. But otherwise, or maybe rain effects as well. Maybe we'll add some rain that like bounces off the ground. If we want maybe some dynamic changes. A day and night system would be pretty cool. I do need to figure out how to cast shadows, because I think what I want to do in this game is when you're in the cave, cast shadows, or use like a torch or something. So later in the game, maybe you'll get like a torch that lets you adventure into dark areas, and just kind of implement those. I'm also going to fix the player. Right now we have anti-aliasing on the white edges. I'll be fixing that. And in the release, so I'll be doing that stuff off stream for time's sake. Anyways, we're gonna fix this issue, but we're almost there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's jump over here. Okay, all right. So this, I want to add 2 more pieces to this. I think that adding the dirt corners would really flesh out this little piece of grass that's there, using like the dirt edges that we have. So I think that would be a better transition, and going through and actually doing that on all of the edges. And then, yeah, I don't want to go too far into the cave because I want you guys to figure that out for yourself. I think we're cooking with gas. This could be changed. I'm realizing this little dirt section, the shading, I don't know what happened to the shading, but it stopped on that left cube. So I think what I'll do is I'll just edit that real quick in Pyxel. So in this one, in the dirt medium left, we're going to edit the object, edit here, and I want to say that it's this edge that needs to be lit. It's hard to tell. Maybe this one too. Let's save that and see what happens. Yeah, that's a little bit brighter, and I like that. That works just a little bit. Just a little bit more. I think I want to add 1 more pixel, and I want to do it right here. Right? Come on. Thank you. Right there. Save that, and we'll review it one more time. And there we have a bit more of a transition on each of these edges. It looks a little bit more organic and less jarring, I think. This doesn't line up anymore. It's more noticeable that it doesn't line up anymore. So I think we're going to have to go in here and fix the middle tile just a little bit. Dirt. We can just edit this. Edit. So we know that these don't really line up. We can see the other edge of where that would be. So we can just add this in. I think that something like this is more appropriate for that edge. Come on. And then we'll just add that there, and maybe add that there, and hit apply. And that does clean up that bridging edge just a little bit more. I like that. I think it tunes it up. Okay. Again, everything you guys currently see will be included in the free template, as well as on my itch store for free. And then if you want the more advanced, the extra tile sets and everything, you can get those at an extra cost. But I feel like this is a fair amount of stuff for a free template. Yeah, so there's only a couple more features that I really want to add. I feel like we have all the base mechanics. We have our dashing, our climbing, our jumping, our all of our wall interactions, the sliding, and everything. We have some pretty cool extra textures and tiles to add some emphasis into the game. I think I want to add a couple more signs, maybe arrows and things to help guide the player throughout their journey. However, yeah, I don't think we need to do too much there. I'm going to edit the color of these. I think that we need to blend a little bit more in the darker department and then blend up into the light rather than using the brown as we do here. Just to make some cohesion with the spikes and the extra rocks. And that's just an artistic thing. I don't think that that is really a requirement anywhere else. It'll just help blend more. Maybe even adding some spikes that have some grass variations would also be a textural thing that we do. So now to add some emphasis to our background, it's time for us to add those extra tiles. So we do have the transitions, and now what we need is the let's see, the tile set. Extras can be the collision, the dirt. Slopes need to be left alone. Checkpoints are like a mechanic thing. Slopes can go in extras as well. Transitions, dirt to grass. Now we just need to add a background. Backgrounds. Add that to there. We're going to add a new background as a sprite. We're going to actually, upon reflection, we might as well make this next one also a scalable dirt background, and we're going to do dirt or extra default dirt background alt, like alternative, right? Just for naming conventions for Gdevelop. And then instead of that sprite, we're going to replace it. And because it's not named the same, we don't need to go through those extra. I added the grass blades to the wrong textures. I'll move that later. But what was I doing? Background. We're going to add the background 2 to this. So now we have background 2, hit apply, and then randomly wherever we want, we can add one if we wanted to, or just kind of add small clusters of these in various places. You may want to do some custom designs where you only add a couple, or you can do scalable, and that's completely up to you. The way that you go about developing your extra areas and things in your map is completely up to you. We're going to move these to the background layer and make sure that I select the background layer while I'm working, and then make sure that those fall into the right place. We don't need the dirt to go any higher than that currently. On this, we're going to create another one just to clean this up, so we have the dirt uniformed, but I don't feel like we need to go through too much there. Let's preview this again. And now when we fall, we can see some of that background texture. It's subtle. It doesn't need to be very detailed to add in quality to this backdrop. And I feel like even so, we could probably darken the background even more to improve the contrast with the tiles. But overall, I feel like the brown gives us an idea of what's going on, especially if we add more texture like this throughout the map. let's go see up here. We can kind of see it working. And maybe we want to do some more variations. That would probably be a good idea. But let's go to our background and edit with Pyxel and grab this texture, and let's see if we can't just make it a smidge darker and see what happens when we do it this way. And then we can go back into this alt texture, replace, and do the same thing. So we will grab this color. To do this accurately, we should go back to the first one and grab the color code. So we'll click on this, we'll open this up and grab the color code. Hit cancel because we don't need to save anything. Open this one up, edit with this, go into here, paste it, and now we just made sure that we have the same color. And then what we can do is go into here and now select the dirt as a slightly brighter color, but not as jarring. So, and then we can just blend some of this by moving it kind of like this, and then we'll just go like that. So now it kind of blends up into that shape. And then we're just going to add some more of these around the map, making it feel a bit more textured and organic in a lot of ways. What is going on here? This one needs to go to background 0. Background. We're going to do some editing of the background later. In terms of right now it doesn't really matter. It's fine. Don't worry about it, guys. We'll get this squared away. I'm gonna rotate these so that they're not all in the same direction. Maybe add another thing up here. We're just kind of going around and sporadically changing and adding in texture to make the map feel a little less flat. And this will add a lot of game feel to what we're doing. Even though these are just kind of like random and arbitrary, you know, we can move more around. Maybe we want to kind of blend that in there on the edges. Maybe do it over here as well. And then we're going to go back in and test this one more time. So this is how we go about adding in like game feel and other cool bits. These are just random dirt textures, but as you can see, it does add some variation, and these still might be a bit too bright, but I feel like we're starting to get there in terms of contrast. And again, I think that maybe what the issue is that the background is now too dark between how bright these are and this. So what we could do, another way of going about doing this is we can take the original background or the middle texture for our dirt, or our rock. Either way, we'll go to middle background for the grass. We'll use this one this time. We're going to replace it, and then we're going to go back in and add. Oops, I don't have that texture anymore. That's okay. We're just going to modify it our own way. They were a little dark before, so we're going to go about tuning that up. Everything that is that extra color, that one. And then we're going to use this one for all the brights, just to tune it down. And then we can add this to the background and see if this fixes the that background issue. Now this is going to be really noisy, but I think that this adds a lot more to what we're trying to do than these basic ones. And it's pretty straightforward now. It is busy, but in a way that doesn't necessarily impede the player's vision. I think it needs to be a little bit darker because we can't quite see the outlines that we want to see. But with a little bit more work, I think that this was too dark. So we're almost there. And then what we can do actually is we no longer need the alternates for now. So, oops, I duplicated them, but we're going to delete them completely. And then we're going to go back in and edit this one more time, hopefully. Let's grab this base color again, and let's move it just a smidge into the dark. That's, I think, better. And then now we're just going to use that and lightly increase to get all these extra colors. And then again, lightly increase to get these last desaturated textures. And now when we upload this, I think what we're going to see is a much more blended transition. And now we can still see our spikes a bit. Yeah, give or take. I mean, it's a little difficult, but maybe we add some outlines to the spikes. Or maybe we don't. I'm not sure yet. I'll get some user feedback on the tile set and do some tweaks over time, but I think that that's fair at the moment. And then it really emphasizes these. I think that what I want to do for the pits is in our game scene, at the beginning of our scene, we're going to activate the pits, and we're going to change their opacity to 155. So we're going to drop the opacity by 100. And that should add a nice transition into letting us know. And I think that's not quite right. I want to do some dithering and some like effects to make that a little bit better than it is currently. Maybe we can do this at 200 instead, dropping it half of what I had just minused it. So that's a bit better. I think that's pretty clear that if you fall in that, you're going to die. Oh my goodness. I can't even land on the platform. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do as well is I got some feedback from the players, and most people were asking me to change the keyboard keys. I was originally developing it with the idea that people would be playing with this one-handed or on a controller format. But what I want to do now is bind the keyboard left to left. I think that's what it's called. Is left like this. I think it's left, right, up, and down on the arrows. And let me just double check. Yeah. So space is now jump. Shift is to grab on and hold onto the walls. I'm not sure what happened there. There we go. And then we're going to make D dash. So D will be dash, shift will be to jump and hold on the wall. And I think that's the only real way to make this comfortable with two hands. Unless you guys feel like A would be a better grab key, but I can't really imagine A being the best key. So shift. Q to dash. No, we're going to change that over to... there will be an option for you to change your own keys, so that's fine. We don't need to go too far in that, but we're going to change this to D on the keyboard for dash, and I think that that will clean up the... clean up the user experience with... Ah! There we go. Nah, that feels right. I'm biased because it's my own game, but I'm hoping that other people will feel like this control scheme makes sense. There we go. So now for the last few touch-ups, and then the extra traps and such. Now, I realized that earlier I had said that we were going to integrate the spikes, but we're not going to because this is reserved for this bigger template. So if you want to see those extra advanced features and how to build kind of a more Metroidvania style, you could do that. What I'd like to do is now double up on these signs and make a few different ones for this pack. and then I'll be getting off and completing the pack and then uploading it to our Discord. So if you guys aren't part of the Discord community, now is the perfect time for you to get involved. The description, or the link is in the description. Please do join us. There's lots of conversations to be had, and if you need any help with pixel art or anything like that, you can always come and hang out, and we'll help you. So, one of the things that I want to do is delete the general thing I had going there. We're going to change the way that this sign works and looks. We're going to put this kind of in the middle, and we're going to add this sort of like angled sign, I think. Let me review this a little bit. Not quite the shape that I want it. I think that we can fine tune these edges a little bit. Wood warps and changes a bit over time, but it retains its structure until it falls apart. So we don't need to, so, you know, a normal sign might look like this, but if we wanted to make a pointed sign that's pointing down or something, we could do something like this. But I wanted to blend those two shapes together, so maybe something a little bit more like this, and then we can add that pointed look. And I think a way of doing that without deleting the mask, because we don't really lose that mask until it's, you know, it's completely broken or whatever. So what we can do is add the grass, some grass edges. So maybe the sign is old and damaged, and maybe there's some like grass hanging off of it. And then we want to go in with our dirt or the darker wood color. And I really want to emphasize that this is kind of pointing, you know, in a direction. Maybe we can add an arrow to it. Not great. I have a sign for this. I have a similar one that I've made in the past, and it looks great. However, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. Sorry, I toned out what I was doing there for a minute. Trying to get to my previous art. So, one of the servers that I deleted everybody out of because I used to be a live streamer previously, but I have some extra environmental arts and much bigger tile sets that I've worked on before, and I really like this style of sign. It works, I think, and then I've also done some other, you know, platformer animations and whatnot, but I made various characters and designs there. And here I used the same tile set and drew some other characters from other. So we have Skull, we have Link, we have Flynn, I think his name is, from Crimson something. And then Hollow Knight, of course, and then a redraw of the sister head, but on the Hollow Knight body. But yeah, so that sort of sign format, I think, looks really, really good. At least at that scale. It's a little bit harder to pull off here, but I think that we can. Let's kind of treat this as though it was grass. So every so often we can add a little bit of grass color. And then maybe even add some of that broken wood feel. And then we could add some texture to make it feel a little bit more noisy, but then we're going to lose the writing space if we do something like that. So I think that an old sign or something like this would suffice. And just by clipping some of those edges and then even emphasizing that on the later edges as well. This one should have some color to it. add some age. Let's anywhere where there's grass, let's add a little bit of dirt or grime. Maybe we can cut. We don't always have to follow that rule, or we can extend our sign a little bit. And I think that something like this is more than enough to convey root and grass. Yeah, so I don't think we need to go any farther than that. And maybe we'll clean up some of the noise by dropping it and making it more uniform across the art piece. I'm just you'll see me zoom out and zoom in a lot as I do my work. That's part of my normal workflow, just so I can make sure that I'm previewing my image. I could also preview it here, and so I don't have to do that. That would be probably, I'm just so used to doing it this way that it's just ingrained into my head. This is the way I do it. So you do you, boo. You do you. All right. Yeah, that's good. I'll keep fiddling with this forever if I keep working on it. And it's just really just a placeholder for now. I don't need it to be anything too special. I do want to clip this edge, and if I do clip the edge, I think I'll do that. And now we have more or less a wooden sign, and then we could do text around it to let us know kind of what it wants us to do, or simply add in some form of arrow. Now I think that if we cut this and raise it up a little bit, we'll have more room to display what we're trying to display, and make it feel a little bit more sign-like. We'll add another bit of grass over here now that we've raised it up a little bit, and now I think we can get away with that painted arrow. And so maybe we'll want to do this, and we could, ooh, I don't like that. Alex, have you forgotten how to make arrows? What? That looks awful. I guess I could do it like that. It's not my favorite, but I think that if we tune it to the wood and even make it like, not that color, but some other woodly color, it's too close. We're going to back this one up, add those highlights. But then we could, potentially just have signs that look kind of like this in our game. Not perfect. I'm not exactly the most thrilled, but like I said, it'll work for now. On this extra one, maybe we want some variations. So maybe we won't add the grass. Let me grab a texture. There we go. Or we won't add as much grass. So maybe the sign is in better repair for some reason. So let's go through and just kind of fix up the sign. And then, of course, as well, we want to make some consistency with... I think I'm going to drop the sign height just to have some variety. And then we're also going to come back in here and add the highlights and lowlights as they should be. I feel like that's pretty solid. Maybe we can do that vine wrap that I am kind of fond of. And we can just kind of put it like that. And I feel like that's fair. Maybe do some edge highlighting. And then this one we don't have. And then if we want it clean on both sides, we can just clean this up like such and flip it over again. And now we have a grass version, a rundown grass version, and a regular sign. And from here, there isn't a whole lot more really for us to dive into in this format. I do want to add what do I want to add? Maybe we just add a little bit of grass no matter what on each of these. just so that there's some consistency with the rest of the tile set. There we go. I almost feel like this could be bigger, and then maybe we can do that even one more up and then trim this to keep the same size. That's looking kind of whack. Let's do these edges a bit more. It's a huge sign. We don't need to do it that big. I think what we had before is enough. Does it convey the message? That is the most important question that you should ask yourself. Does it convey what it needs to do? And in this case, I believe it does. So we're just going to leave it like that. Let's see, we've got rocks that we can add. We've got big boulders. Maybe we want to add those around the map, and maybe one just for visual interest. I think that it would be interesting to take one of these floor tiles, and maybe we'll do 2 of them to match the size of this thing, and we'll kind of embed this rock into the soil and give it sort of this being consumed by the earth look. So maybe we can add a little bit of grass coming up. Maybe this grass on the top. It kind of comes down. We can break the lines here a little bit, so that's totally fine. And then we can come back through with our layers. So this is a highlight area, so kind of more like low light, just because of the current structure of our textures. We're going to do this in layers. So as we go up, we start losing some of our mass, and we're moving towards the highlights, which is the areas that would be the most exposed to the sun, as well as maybe a bit more on the top one. And I still feel like maybe we can even go about blending the earth here a little bit better, because the reality is we're actually not keeping any of this. So this would go on top of this format of rock seamlessly, or close to seamlessly anyways. So I think that we can upgrade this just a smidge. Maybe we'll darken these edges, actually darken all of this, and then come back in with those edge highlights and do it this way. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty good. Gives us a pretty solid base to have some extra terrain goodies. So we'll keep this. This will be the other rock format. I'll redo these rocks. The spikes need a little bit of adjustment. We want to use this back dark color now for the rocks, and then upgrade them to this slightly higher color contrast, so they're not this weird color. And the same thing with these guys. We want to come back in here and readdress the old shading, the old way of shading that we used to do, and update it to the new system. These are rocks, the minor rocks. We don't need them to be as colorful as they were. So beyond the animation and physics to break this bridge, the last few things I want to add is dialogue before I release this, and tune up the textures just a smidge, and then this will be released. So for those of you that are watching right now, I want to reiterate what I've already said. So if you're watching this live now, there are 2 hidden secrets within the game, and if you find them, one of them will teach you how to find, or where, like, how to try and do the how to try it, how to find the secret, and the other one is the actual secret. So there is a hidden level or a hidden area in this, and it has some text. Basically, if you find it, take a screenshot, email it to me at contact@levelupwithalex.com, or you can find that all in there, or at me at the Discord. And if you take a screenshot of the player in that location, I will add you to the credits of the game, and include your credits in the production side of my asset pack as well. I think that it'd be really fun to put that challenge out there, and I'll add the game link as it's done today, or you can find it in Discord. If this was at all valuable to you and you're interested in learning more, please do support me on Ko-Fi. For a one-time payment of $3, or for a monthly subscription, you can support me and my channel as we grow and support the community. I hope that as we make some donations come in, and we can release more content onto itch for free for everyone. And if you are a member of our paid patron subscription, you can get extra tile sets that are not available, and extra items that are not available in the free packs that I release. They'll be only available on our patron, or in this case, in our Ko-Fi or Coffee subscription service. So for now, that's going to be it. We have one more episode to do where I will add the dialogue, and then we will release the pack. So that'll happen this Friday. I look forward to releasing this and giving you guys all of the code. This one does come with the special extension. We do have a unique extension that was made for this specific template by our glorious friend Reborn. We have a wall jump and climb extension that'll be coming out to the community. So if you're interested in that and being able to do the wall climbing aspects, you'll have to wait for that release on Friday. Thank you guys so much for stopping in and hanging out with us. We're going to end a little bit early today so I can tune up the art asset and get it released. I'll add some backgrounds, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I hope that this was useful to you. And if it was, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you would. We're very close to 300, so I would like to see that happen. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you, and as always, see you next time.